Okay.
Okay, so this is the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. I'm going to reset my game data after I start the game, just because I want to record the initial ending that you can only get once, which I did not record the first time. But me and Tony are going to record this game for analysis of Joseph Campbell's Hero Cycle for assignment in class. Um, but yes, this is what happens if you launch the game several times. So apparently, it's the seventh time playing the game, but let's see. Temple of Circles, I guess. So, I forget how to hard reset the game. So, let me hard reset
Yeah. It is just the background. I'm gonna wear my bracelet. I'll put on my bracelet.
So that should give me a fresh start, which I don't
Yeah.
want to do a second time because I don't want to torture the narrator.
It's still recording then?
Yes, I am recording.
Okay, good.
Yes, I have played the Stanley Parable before.
Is it supposed to be a chair?
Yeah. Oh yeah, this whole mechanism. I love this mechanism.
Yeah.
So I know this game first forces you to, well, let's look at this title screen, this recursive thing. What do you think this whole recursive element represents? To me, this does
Very
indicate.
rabbit hole like.
To me, this does represent that this whole game is taking place in Stanley's unconscious. That Stanley did fall asleep at his keyboard and it's taking place in his unconscious mind.
Or if you think about it, this game is meant to be played on a PC, which you're at. So maybe this is the threshold. Beginning the game is the threshold.
I would say that there are three characters in this game. You as the player, Stanley, and the narrator, because the narrator does refer to you as a player several times throughout the game. He is well aware that Stanley is a video game character being piloted by a character, by a player. So you as a player are very much a character in this game.
But I think that's what the recursion represents then, that you are part of the game.
Yeah, because Stanley. The whole joke about Stanley is that Stanley is pressing buttons as the orders come in. He is parodying a video game
Yeah.
character. So I'm guessing Stanley is controlling his own version of Stanley, and this is just a recursive version of that. But yes, start the game. The end is never the end because the hero cycle is a cycle and the 2,000-year-old
This is
cycle.
the story of a man named
Yep.
Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor at his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
I do think that maybe what's going on is, from a greater perspective, is that Stanley was. It is a metaphor that Stanley. That is a known thing about this game. That the whole idea of Stanley pressing buttons is him playing a video game. So what my idea is that Stanley was playing as a protagonist, and now he is the protagonist, and some higher level person is doing his job, controlling him. That is my understanding of this recursive idea of controlling characters and stuff. And this ending, what you can get right here, is the refusal of the call. So if you
Yeah.
go over here and do this,
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
so what do you think that? How do you think that kind of reflects the refusal of the call? That no matter what Stanley does, he is going to be forced to go on his adventure because he will always be sent to the beginning and forced to go through the door.
Well, in some stories, the call to adventure cannot be refused. If you think about it.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm referring to. He cannot refuse. In most hero stories, the call to adventure cannot be refused. That's the whole point of the refusal of the call. That the idea that even if you refuse the call, that it will call you back to go on the adventure. So,
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
this whole thing over here with the well further down. That's absolutely the refuse the what you call it, the threshold.
Comfort or threshold?
Threshold, yeah. So It's absolutely the threshold.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
So if you enter the door on the left and follow exactly what the narrator says, you're going to get a really boring ending. But the real adventure comes when you subvert this idea of following the divine guidance and sort of piss off the narrator by choosing the door on the right. I think that that's an interesting subversion of the trope of the wise one, because if you follow the wise one's thing, you'll get him escaping, but you'll get a very boring ending, right? Like, the whole idea of the Stanley Parable is for you to ignore the narrator and to go on your own adventure.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
I just totally headcanon Stanley as being objective.
Yeah.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
It is a nice room.
That is a nice room, yes.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings.
I need my bucket for this. Be right back. I need to grab my bucket. How can I play this Stanley Parable without my bucket? I have obtained the legendary bucket, and the bucket's absolutely necessary to play the Stanley Parable.
Really worth it. At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
When the narrator fronted, he sounded like this.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first
As
open door on
much
his
as he
left
could with
to
your
get back
voice.
to business.
What do you think the narrator's archetype in me is? What archetype did the narrator latch on to me?
And so
I
he
have
detoured
no
through
idea.
the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
This could be the threshold into the unconscious as well.
You're right. I might screenshot this and put it in my essay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that this is this is a threshold in the unconscious, because this is dark and creepy, and this is kind of like a liminal space. This is a liminal space. If you think
Yeah.
about it, this specific room, I mean, the whole game is like the original liminal space. Like, I'm pretty sure this game came out even before Antechamber. I'm pretty sure this is like one of the very first idea games that kind of expressed the liminal space thing. But this specific part is liminal, and this goes into the threshold of the unconscious, where it's like, yeah, he's asking you to... Huh?
There was more than one threshold, right? There was the first one, and then there was into the
This
unknown,
whole
which
game,
this is...
every choice you could make is a threshold. Every possible choice you can make in this game is a threshold. Every branching choice is some sort of threshold, and I think that's the whole point of the game, that this game is filled with thresholds, and this, for instance, is the unconscious threshold, and you can go into the unconscious mind or go forward and not experience the threshold of the unconscious. And if you notice, every one where you're going into the unconscious is a more disturbing ending. Like if you notice that all of the going down into the facility endings are the darker and more creepier endings.
Yeah, the facility definitely represents the conscious versus the unconscious, I think.
Yeah.
Yet there
Especially
was
the
not a
fact you can
single
look out the
person
windows
here
and there's
either.
blankness.
Feeling a wave
Yeah.
of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's
Tips
office,
for not getting
hoping he
fired.
might find an answer there.
I love this little PowerPoint. This entire game is, in my opinion, this game is the most, it has the best writing on of any game ever. Like
Yeah.
this game is such an amazing parody. Like these used to not be that visible in the original. Oh, is there something on the back of this?
Ooh.
Better safe than safe than profits. And then there's some text there that's illegible.
I wonder if
But
any of this can be analyzed.
I'm pretty sure it's just a shitpost. So you get Chris out of the broom closet. I'm pretty sure this is not supposed to make any sense. My dad unironically believes this feature was yesterday, tomorrow is now thing. Outlook consulting whiteboard. It's just a parody of work life. I'm pretty sure this is just a parody of office life. I don't know what the broom closet represents. What do you think the broom closet represents?
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
I still have to redraw my one drawing.
I'd assume that it's another refusal to the call.
There was
It
nothing
might be
here.
a refusal
No
to
choice
call,
to make,
yeah.
no path to follow, just an empty broom closet.
It's
No
refusal to
reason
make
to
choices.
still be here.
It's a refusal to make choices because there's no choices to make in this room.
Could be,
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the
one
broom
refusal
closet.
to the
He
call
wasn't
would
even
be
doing anything.
before the
At
adventure
least if there was
starts.
something to interact with,
But,
it was
yeah,
justified in
of
some
course,
way.
after
As
the
it
adventure,
is,
there
he's
is a
literally
denial.
just standing there doing sweet FA.
You can start the adventure and experience denial during it.
I think this would be denial. Yeah, you're right. This is denial.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why?
I love the
Please offer me
narrator.
some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
I love it.
Yeah, that also proved to me that the end goal is to get every ending, I
Stanley
think.
was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this,
think
the
that's also a
responsible
thing?
thing is to alert someone
What's also a
nearby
thing?
so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello?
In fact, he
Anyone
could,
who happens to be
because he's
nearby?
talking about the
person
player,
at this
the actual
computer
player.
is dead.
Yeah.
They have fallen prey to any
Well,
number of your countless human
pretty sure
physiological
the player is an actual
vulnerabilities.
character
It's
in this.
indicative of the long-term sustainability
Yeah.
of your species.
But he wasn't talking
Please
about
remove
Stanley
their
right now.
corpse
He's talking
from
about
the
the
area
player.
and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
This is why I think the narrator likes this, because we're trying to analyze their
second
game.
player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee
Yeah.
you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
And then you can come back
too.
in.
Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
See, this is another threshold.
If he wasn't,
Coming to a staircase, Stanley
Yeah.
walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Like, when you go down, it's clearly like a metaphor for the unconscious, because like the endings sort of reflect like conscious unconscious tropes, and this is clearly an unconscious trope because this is the delusion ending. This is the ending where they added
quite literally entering hell.
I never noticed this when I first played it, but they really upped the detail on this game. The lighting looks so much better than it did in the first game. The shadows look so much crisper. But yeah.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
He
And for
realizes
that
he's in
matter,
a
these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh,
This
what
is
a
just
relief
your
Stanley
spirals
felt to
in a
have finally
nutshell.
found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
Except you don't remember most of it. I have to sit through you being like this.
This is the story
It's
of a
exactly
woman
what I
named
have to
Mariella.
witness every time.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Isn't that kind of money, though?
What is?
Like, if you see it as Stanley died, so the narrator latched himself onto the second woman.
Oh yeah.
But the moment you realize that it's a voice talking and narrating your life, you go insane.
Oh yeah.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
That's kind of money, isn't it?
It more or less is.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes.
You think the employee lounge is the comfort zone, or
What a gorgeous, gorgeous room.
You
Thank
think
I
goodness
this is
Stanley
a
has taken
funny?
this detour on his
I don't
way
think
to
it's
the
comfort
meeting room.
zone.
Yeah.
Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
I want to draw Stanley for this picture. You know exactly what I mean.
Yeah,
Coming
you
to a
remembered
staircase,
you were going to show
Stanley
this to your
walked
professor.
upstairs to his boss's office.
I feel like that's referencing something. What would an extreme bathroom be? The toilet would be on the wall. So you'd have to angle. That would be pretty extreme.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. Actually, I saw one where someone put a bathroom in an elevator shaft and made the floor glass.
Oh my god.
Yeah, stuff in there is definitely making fun of capitalism.
I love pissing off the
Stepping
guy
into his
every
manager's
once.
office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Very liminal.
Yeah, here's another descent into the subconscious. The more you go into the deeper into the facility, like the more liminal it gets.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him?
Is this
question would
accepting the
not
call?
go unanswered for long.
Probably accepting
Or
the call, yeah.
Answering the call, yeah.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
You know what's weird? I find a lot of it's kind of common for people that feel like their headspace is like this, where every TV is like a memory or something.
Yeah.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Now, we never found out what the red one is, right?
I don't think so. That's a weird one right there, the redacted right there.
Well, there's a
528.
couple, it looks like.
There's a couple of kind of redacted ones.
Some are fired.
Yeah.
But I thought there was a glitched number.
I don't remember. That might have been after the main store, after you trigger the
Yeah.
Ultra Deluxe stuff.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life
I mean, that's
utterly
what the
blind
player
to the
is, right?
world?
Yeah.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Wonder
this
what
could
says
be-
in there. Huh? I mean, I'm guessing what this is the choice
Hold on,
to
let me see if...
do good or bad. Like, you can turn it on or you can turn it off and do bad. So I'm doing this with the standard ending.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge
This
or
kind
even
of
power that
reminds
he
me
had
of
been
the...
seeking, but happiness.
Like, I think it's
Perhaps his
Narcissus,
goal
the
had not
punishment
been
of
to
Narcissus,
understand,
where...
but to let go. No
Or
longer
no,
would
maybe it
anyone
wasn't
tell him where
Narcissus.
to go,
It was
what to
someone
do, or how to feel.
that was punished
Whatever
by...
life he
He was
lives,
constantly
it
thirsty
will
and
be
hungry.
his. And that was
I don't
all.
know.
And when he
needed
tried to
know.
drink from
It
the
was
water
perhaps
below him,
the
it
only
would get
thing
farther
worth
away. When
knowing.
he tried to reach for fruit in the
Stanley
trees, would get
stepped
farther
through the
away.
open door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not Narcissus, that's in Percy Jackson. It refers to it. I don't remember who it is.
Yeah, I don't remember who it is.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of
Or I guess
liberation,
the ending I'm
the
talking about
immense
was
possibility
after...
of the new path before him.
It's
This
in
was
the
exactly the way,
after you
right
complete
now,
the main game, right?
that things were meant to happen.
Because the door
And
starts
Stanley
closing again.
was happy.
Oh, that's the bucket ending.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's the bucket ending of this game.
Okay, so this one would just be the return, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, it's still not open. Oh, wait,
All
it's
of
the
his
other side,
co-workers
yeah.
were gone. What
Oh.
could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
It's almost, yeah. This is the start of the
Oh,
alternate stuff.
new content? What does that mean, new content?
Narrator's kind of cute.
That's exactly how I was. He's adorable. Narrator's adorable.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
I think that this itself is its own. This start is itself the main story, i.e., like the main hero cycle that I'm going to analyze. It's
Yeah.
the cycle of the narrator.
Yep, the
So
hero
the-
cycle
so-
of the
so-
narrator.
So this is sort of
Okay,
like.
so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if
It's because
Oh, okay. Let's see the
the whole
content.
thing is
Give me the content,
he's upset
Stanley.
with what the game devs did, so he decides to make his own game. That's the start.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Yeah, you can't use all your jumps in here because then you can, if you don't use all your jumps, you can actually use it elsewhere.
Is that
Yeah.
it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the
Yeah, I
whole
kinda wish
dictionary.
you
There's 20
could have
hours of
figured
new
that out
content
yourself
right
and
there.
John didn't
Hell,
tell you
I
that.
could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... oh, wait. There's more. Very good.
There's a
Yes.
reason why I don't like
I knew
Strict
there
John
had to be
anymore.
something else. Let's see it.
He's
I'm
a
ready for
Yeah.
whatever
pathological
it is.
spoiler. He's just not a fun person to play games with anymore.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say,
Aw.
friend?
I'd hug him if he had a body.
He deserves non-body hugs.
Hee.
See, I think these dark spaces kind of represent unconscious spaces in Stanley's mind.
Yeah.
Just look at that. There's like a photo of the actual place on the wall, and I think this is like a deeper space. I think it's like going deeper into Stanley's unconscious.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
What happens if you go this way?
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so... Oh, never mind. You're not a dork.
Aww. He's adorable.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
I think now we're in like the narrator's unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
I think this represents the
I
narrator's
call it
unconscious.
the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I
Well,
can
less
relive the peak
unconscious and
experiences of
more
my life
just
whenever
the
I want.
mindscape.
Experiences
It's just
like the
headspace.
launch of the Stanley Parable on
Yeah.
PC.
This is the narrator's headspace.
And the office is Stanley's.
Yeah.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it
Wait,
all meant
what does
something.
that one look like?
Oh, the waste.
The one picture with the PC. Oh, okay. I thought it was a computer with hands, and I'm like, that would have been cute. Oh, what? It was stolen?
I think they stole it and gave it to the. It was The Last of Us, but they stole it and said the Stanley Parable on it.
It's just cute that the narrator has this little place in his headspace.
I think it's adorable. Yeah.
Je suis dans la même horizon, c'est sur l'abri de l'eau, et je n'attends plus que toi, mon amour.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this
Is
stunning
this
triumph
shrine?
of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
I really do think that this ending is exploring the narrator.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever found out how to get in there?
I don't think you can get it there.
Hmm.
This is like, this interface looks very familiar. Oh, that's the hammer editor. Yeah, that's the hammer editor interface that I absolutely hate. I tried using it. Just,
Oh.
yeah.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Oh yeah, this is where I think you go back down there.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again.
Oh, you can go in.
Yeah, I forgot about
Wait.
this.
Hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before.
Yeah, these are the
What's
bad
this?
reviews.
What's down here?
So this would be the narrator's unconscious.
This is the narrator's unconscious.
Yep.
Oh no.
Where all
God,
the
no.
bad
Stanley, it's a
reviews
collection
are
of reviews
because
from Steam, the online video game distributor.
he
I haven't
covered
looked
them
at
up
these in
because
years. I
they
can't
caused
even
him
imagine
trauma.
what's been collecting down here. Surely
Yeah, I
these
feel
reviews
so
were
bad.
glowing as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The narrator's just a
But
sweet little bean. He doesn't deserve any sort of drama.
Yeah.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them. Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel
See, these are
like a
just his
failure.
traumatic memories.
Like I let these
It's
people
really
down.
sad.
Perhaps
Right.
the Stanley parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
I don't mind talking about my plurality when it comes to my professor talking, because I have already told him about my plurality and he understands them as
Yeah.
my archetypes. So I don't mind mentioning how, the narrator's in my headspace too. Well, I didn't mention about how what happened that caused him to be in my headspace, but he's in there, and he didn't want me to replay this except just this time as part of the assignment, because this is really traumatic to him.
Yeah.
I feel really bad.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
This is so sad.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people, and if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around
Part of
waiting
me
for me to
thinks
shut
that
up.
he
Go ahead
did
and
do
make me
this on
shut up.
purpose.
Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this.
You know how I
The story,
feel that?
What do you mean?
Why else would there be a clock and a plant?
What do you mean?
Because you get to watch the clock run out of battery and the plant die.
Yeah. I think he's
If he
trying to
did-
make a point, yeah.
Yeah, if he didn't know that he was going to get stuck going forward in time forever, then he wouldn't have included any way to show that there was a passage of time, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that now we're at like the whole him discovering the Steam reviews, that was him, going into the belly of the beast and sort of this is his rite of passage. This to me is his not his rite of passage. This is his trials. he is putting himself through trials to sort of, and apotheosis is that the skip button is torturing the narrator, and that you shouldn't torture the narrator, and that the idea is that he's a sentient being, right? And the trope is that you have to treat him as a sentient being, and he doesn't want to be skipped over.
The choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. that the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much
It
more than
sounds
forever
like-
ago? Which is why
No,
I
it
say
doesn't, but
the story
is it
and the
actually hinting
choices,
at
or what have you,
I think
and
he's just
therefore by
rambling.
becoming it is.
okay.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. Ah. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations.
Is he
All right,
just a
here we
ADHD?
go.
I think he has
Treatise, manifesto, treatise, manifesto, treatise, manifesto. Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right...
I feel as if I would use this on Mills, though. Mills just goes on these absolute nonsensical rambles. You should just check him out on Spotify. He's amazing background noise because he's so nonsensical that you can't. There's no point in paying attention to him. But it's just really great background noise to just listen to him.
Like
At your
when
fingertip.
you're craving that potato background noise, you just
Yeah.
turn it on.
to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works.
Alright, give him
Perhaps
head pats.
that would have been the smart thing
Yeah.
to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
Why aren't you talking? Is this like a game glitch?
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not talking. Like, it didn't put any captions or anything. That's not supposed to happen. I don't remember this part being silent.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes?
Maybe
It's not
our narrator is
unendurable by
saying
any
just
means,
get
but
on with it
well,
or
there's
something.
really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here.
I don't
Wait here for
want to
me,
press
and
it.
don't press the skip button. Got it?
Yeah, it's pain.
Yes.
I'm
good.
experiencing
I'll be right back.
literal physical pain over this. Like, I'm
Yeah.
physically expressing, like, it's a weird sensation. Like, there's this pain from the center of my head all the way down to my throat, and I'm feeling like a physical pain over this.
I'm feeling it in my chest.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's complete.
The thing is, it doesn't skip forward in time. It just pauses Stanley.
Yeah.
So
Gone.
poor narrator has to sit there and wait.
Yeah.
I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it, and I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention
So do you think
of one
it
of
could
my
also
imperfections.
be... I think it could also be that he just accidentally, like, soft-locked himself.
No, I'm pretty sure that this is all taking place in Stanley's unconscious, and that the narrator is basically what Monty is to me, and that
Oh, maybe.
that Stanley is asleep at the keyboard, and that you can't control your unconscious mind. Stanley can't control his unconscious mind, so whatever was going on in the facility is a product of Stanley's unconscious mind. And so the narrator is basically forced to be trapped in Stanley's unconscious mind like this.
And I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button, and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening, if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, I know you too well. You'll be leaving me. Oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking?
Yeah, but
It
he's
isn't,
a
Stanley.
narrator.
It
He has
isn't
to
the same at
narrate
all.
some.
It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever
I think
felt about
we
anything at all.
understand
I feel
more
renewed.
than most people
I feel
would say this.
restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it, to think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
What happens if you just wait? Does he start
You know what else? This is kind of like
what?
in the PowerPoint. It was the Buddha being surrounded by all the fears and stuff.
Yeah, I feel as if this is the narrator's unconscious fears kind of surfacing. Again, you can see that the lights are off. I think the lights being off represent like an unconscious state. I think the lights being off sort of represents an unconscious state. And this like the unconscious of the narrator's mind and his unconscious fears of his unconscious fears of being left alone are surfacing.
Hmm.
I feel bad, but I think I think they did a good thing about making this a once playable thing because
Yeah.
it's kind of awful to torture the narrator like this.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of
alright?
both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of
Oh, am I
events,
hearing the
not if
game?
all events existed in the same moment. And I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible. The spaciousness, the
Do
equanimity
you
of the
think this
moment,
happened with
both
Monty?
singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid, as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival. If I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think. To feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
I can feel his pain.
Yeah. if this represents like a death too? If this was his headspace and now it's completely void of anything?
It could represent death, yeah.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself. That's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I really, really don't that ending. It just feels sadistic to torture the narrator like that. New content. Oh, this game is just...
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
But I understand the whole point of that ending. It's supposed to be very dark. It's supposed to be very uncomfortable, because it's directly making fun of the fact that people want the game to be funny and exciting the entire time. Like, so they added that so that it's something really dark and depressing.
Because it's supposed, the whole point, it's supposed to show something about the human condition.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this Ultra Deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this Ultra Deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Tuesday.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Didn't this have calyxes in it?
Yeah, those calyxes all over.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't go back.
He's such a good bean. He did all this just to make Stanley happy.
I ship them, to be honest.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
I remember scanning this QR code and it just links to a page of the, it just links to, like a page that's marketing the Stanley Parable. There's no real merch.
Yeah, they should have done real merch.
I can't believe that the no screenshots thing did not have like an achievement for you taking a screenshot.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
I still feel like there's lore to that.
I don't think there's lore to it. I think it's just shitpost.
But don't you remember there literally is a little girl's room?
A little... I don't remember that now.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you. And I promise it will happen. What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet? You know what, Stanley? I actually think the jump circle was a pretty good idea. I'd like to hang on to that for the sequel.
It looks like a core. I'm sorry. It does though.
Just keeps going.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap
What do you
forward for
think this
video games is a
represents, though?
medium.
I feel like it represents something.
I still think it's a descent into the unconscious.
Even though it gets shallower and shallower.
I'm not sure what that part
You see,
represents yet.
isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a
It
weird
could just
sort of...
be like a broom closet
Oh.
part 2.
Did
I
the
think it's
hole
Broom
seem
Closet
even
Part 2,
shorter
yeah.
to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about, and I've had enough of the hole for a lifetime. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow, okay, yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point. It's more of a concavity, or even a very aggressive divot. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
Yeah, that means
Is the
that to me sounds like
teleport
Broom
button not
Closet Part
working?
2.
You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley.
It could
I hope
always
you
have
and the hole
been
have
him
a
being
wonderful rest
salty,
of eternity.
and he was purposefully making the hole less deep,
Probably.
just so he could do this.
This is just dissociation, though.
You know what would be funny though? And I would not put it past the game to do this. This is supposed to be like looking for deeper meaning,
Probably.
and it's just shallow. And the more you look for deeper meaning, the shallower it gets. But the reason why I think the game would do that is because that literally is looking for a deeper meaning.
Yeah.
Like the deeper meaning is that there's a deeper meaning, or that there's no deeper meaning. And then this part's just a shitpost. No, this part's just ADHD brain.
I don't think so.
Puppy! Robo! It definitely asked different people on the team to draw that.
Stanley?
427 is his room number too.
Stanley! Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for
Yeah,
every
he
second
definitely
of it.
made it shallow
You
on
don't want to
purpose.
miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
This is a mood.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features. For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step
Jim
forward and press
Topa.
the button.
Jim Tropa.
Jim.
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Jim.
Oh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation. I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
That's the sound that freaked us out.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's in this section. So they do use ray tracing in this. I was like, it kind of feels ray traced, but like with a shitty graphics. It's hammered at it in a ray traced. The mostly finished home. Fine, it ended.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life. God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Bucket.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, Anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you
I
imagine what
really
a
think
pain in
that
the
they
ass
should have
that would be?
IKEA buckets.
Yes, the bucket is the
Yeah.
perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Why does it have stickers on it
Can you
still?
feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket
Why does it
lends you
have
an air
stickers
of
on it?
charisma
It's not
as
supposed to
well?
have stickers yet.
I think that just holding it has made you the slightest
It's your
bit
bucket,
more
that's
attractive
why.
as a person.
Because you have your bucket with
The
you.
benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All
This was not supposed to happen. I hard resetted the game. You're not supposed to get the stickers in the bucket until you do the broom closet ending with the bucket. What the hell?
this and more await you
It's your
in
bucket,
the
that's
Stanley
what-
Parable 2.
The narrator's like, okay, I'm gonna take your bucket that you stole from Stanley and put it back.
No, but now there's two buckets. I have my bucket on my lap.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
I'm just assuming since this game isn't supposed to be hard to reset, it costs him.
It might be.
It's
It
a-
might. The logical explanation is probably that you're not supposed to hard reset the game, or that the game is aware that you hard reset it.
Yeah. But it could also be that that's your bucket, and now there's. So yeah, I do think this is the tool to
An
aid.
epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the... well, we'll figure that out later.
The fact that it's a bucket is Dadaist.
I think the bucket overall is a Dadaist statement. It is a tool to aid, but overall is a Dadaist statement.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's the whole settings. I did not get the... I think you had to play with every settings to get
Oh.
to get the achievement.
Plasma rifle? I want a plasma rifle. I know you want a plasma rifle.
A plasma rifle too.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
There we go. I got it.
Yay.
Get out of here. Wait, can I go in there now?
Aha! I can see you've gotten the Settings World Champion achievement. Well done. You've experienced every setting, traveled to all corners of the settings menu. There's nothing you haven't seen. So, just for you, in the Stanley Parable 2, I'm including an entirely new setting, something called bumpscosity. What exactly is bumpscosity? Well, I haven't quite figured that part out yet, but I just know that you'll be able to adjust it on some sort of slider, and that it'll be available from the settings menu. We'll sort the rest of the details out later. I hope you're looking forward
so
to trying out every
ADHD
level of
coded.
bumpscosity in the Stanley Parable 2.
What is the bumpscosity? Viscosity. I still am not sure what it's representing.
It could do nothing.
I don't think it could do nothing. I think it does something in a very specific location.
Oh.
That's the Stanley Parable way. It would do something in like a very specific location.
All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now? So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
I really love this liminal space they create here.
Yeah.
Like, it really is a very liminal space. I love it. And it appeals to the part of me that loves non-Euclidean stuff.
The red used to creep you out.
I mean, it's done in a real... Well, because the music is very nice here, it depends on the music. If the music was creepy, this would creep the hell out of me. but the music just makes this feel like really liminal.
Yeah.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-lifting, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket.
Wonder if the sticker ending won't work now.
That's what I'm trying right now. I'm trying to go to get the sticker. Because you go into the broom closet and then he'll stick the stickers on there.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket.
I think he's projecting.
I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley,
Isn't it
I
canon that
never liked this
everything's
broom
like
closet for a
sentient
variety
too?
of reasons.
Not
Even
sure.
this is worse than I had
It's
imagined.
implied.
And wait.
Yeah,
Now
it's
the
implied.
broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley.
Me though.
Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket, as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Forget how to get the
Okay,
stickers.
I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go.
See?
There. Now
It's supposed to
settled.
have stickers on
No
it.
more debate, no more discussion.
Yep.
Take a hike, broom closet, with
What
all
the
your meandering
hell?
philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their
Well, we
relationship to
heard the
broom closets
noise.
in the natural
Oh
order
my
of
god.
things.
What the hell?
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see,
The bucket
I
sticker.
feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, "Ah, it's a bucket." There really
Wilhelm
is
is
a
a
wide variety of
bucket because I can
applications for
put
this
things
sticker.
in him.
What the hell? Why didn't it reset the bucket part?
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now
No, it just
the
didn't
broom
reset the
closet is
stickers.
just giving us the silent
why
treatment. And to be
didn't it?
honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on
Because
display.
it's the actual
You can
bucket,
stay
it's
here
your
all you
bucket.
like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Because it's your bucket.
Why? Oh my god. Does that mean the bucket is relevant?
Yeah.
Oh god, the bucket is relevant.
Always has been.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I'd eat chicken out of it.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that
Do
sort
you
of
get
happiness, Stanley.
anything,
God
though?
knows I've tried.
I think so,
I
yeah. You
implore
get a
you to
specific
savor
ending.
each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
You get a special ending. Correct. I don't know, sometimes these doors are locked and sometimes they're not. I could never figure out, like, what is the cause of something locking, what isn't.
Stepping into his manager's
a
office,
computer thing
Stanley
an
was once
achievement
again
too?
stunned to
No,
discover
no.
not an
I've
indication
never
of any
got
human
all of
life.
them.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would. And he
I
knew
ship it.
The two of them
I
were
absolutely ship it.
inseparable.
They're
At
all
this
in a
point,
Pollock
Stanley was
doll.
so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
You know what would be hilarious though?
Oh,
The narrator tries to say that the bucket being
Another
sentient
miniature
was a
Stanley
joke.
figurine. This, you know, there really
What if
must be a snappier
All
name
the
for these
what if
things.
all
What
of
about
it just
mini stands?
made
Stanley
a bucket
things?
tulpa?
Or
The narrator
what
just
about
accidentally created an
Stanlerines?
extremely
Yes, I
powerful
think I like
bucket
that.
tulpa.
Another
probably.
Stanlerine
I mean,
under
the
your
bucket
belt.
entity is a real thing.
Yeah, I know, but from joking about it,
Yeah.
that would be funny.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do
Yes,
to keep
that is
himself together,
definitely a
if
hero
not for
cycle
the
thing.
bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Where's the boomy?
You can't get the booby with the bucket.
Aww.
The lights rose on an
Oh, you get
enormous room
kittens or
packed with
something?
television
Yeah,
screens.
you get the bird.
What
the bird
horrible
watching.
secret did this place hold?
Oh, yeah, the
Stanley
bird
and the
watching
bucket
things.
both wondered to themselves.
Bird trying to escape and the facility wants the bucket or something.
Yeah.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
Okay, where's
Everyone
the glitchy
in the
one?
office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Oh, there's the glitchy one. You see it?
Yeah. I wonder what's in 234.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence
I think
as well?
he tried to look
Had
for
the
it,
bucket
but you
been
couldn't
told to
find the
do
room.
things it didn't
Yeah.
wish to do?
Maybe
What
you gotta
kinds
jump
of
for
things
it.
does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the
Oh
first
yeah,
place?
you
there's
These
I forget.
questions
You gotta
raced
jump somewhere.
furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
I think there is a way to jump when you don't have it, but I don't know how to.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Do you think when
But
they were
here
making
was the
this, they'd be
proof.
like, yeah,
The
there's some
heart of the
people who find this
operation.
relatable?
Controls labeled with
Probably.
emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away.
So what do you think the mind
two of them
control
began to
machine
discuss the kind of
represents?
life they wanted to live once they stepped through
the
this
player
massive door.
controlling
The bucket wanted
Stanley.
to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
I do think this ending and the whole ending in particular are kind of the narrator's kind of payback for the skip button thing.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
.420. They're all just in room 420.
Oh yeah, they're all.
Stanley went
recording
around
to
touching
get
every
high.
little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Oh, I forgot. Occasionally, the game does this.
Hmm?
Occasionally, the game takes you into this weird way.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yeah, that's... So maybe, maybe collecting these are the goal.
I don't think so. I think it's just one storyline.
Hmm. Or maybe the goal changes with each cycle.
I'm pretty sure each ending is its own, has its own goal.
E. We need more planks. Oh, is that, Oh, those are hints.
Yeah. Slow pulse just blowing it up.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Do you still have the bucket?
I don't. I didn't grab it that particular.
Oh.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
But you can get the gloomy ending now.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the
still is the
building,
glitchy one.
Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where
Have you
freedom
found all
meant
the
nothing.
bobblehead guys yet?
Yeah, I
Maybe
have.
there's
It gives
one
you an
more.
ending.
Oh, okay.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless, to see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Oh, so that's how you get this ending. The Zen ending, the button Zen ending. I only got this once before, I don't remember how to get it.
Is there a certain way you're supposed to press them?
No, but it's literally just a shitpost. But now
Oh,
I can enter
okay.
that ending whenever I want to.
Oh, it's his heaven because his job was pressing buttons. Oh, okay, I get
Yeah.
it.
Just
So of
a
course
light
his
breeze of
paradise would be pressing
bumpscosity in here at
buttons.
the moment, not bad. I personally enjoy a bit more bumpscosity, but at this amount, it's
I'll type
absolutely
something
reasonable.
in DMs.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Does this furniture, does it look like IKEA furniture?
No.
Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right. Then walking to the lounge. Then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
I still can't believe the stickers were
Perhaps
just there.
this was where the bucket felt
Yeah.
most truly at home. Here in the employee
That was an
lounge.
actual glitch,
Perhaps
dude.
it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home.
Well, do you think it was just a normal, regular glitch, or?
Stanley decided to
don't
just
know.
give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
So the lights are off in this room too.
Yeah, but it's not dark.
No, I guess not.
Most of the lights are on.
It could just be because of the daylight, I guess.
But finally,
Yeah.
the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Okay, so can you jump at all anywhere over here?
You can, and you can kill yourself on the floor.
Oh. I meant using the jump circle jumps.
Okay, I'm going back
No.
to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and
Whoa,
Figments.
what
do
is
you
that?
think, Stanley? What
What is
name
what?
better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you
I
get
do
from
not
seeing a
like
small
that.
number in the corner of your screen
What do
go
you
up by
see?
1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
What I'm hearing.
What did he hear?
Like a really weird glitch where the voice kept skipping over itself.
That didn't happen on my end. That's weird.
Maybe it's just my stream, I don't know. Well, I'll see if it happens again.
This is the fucking, bucket entity ending.
Oh, okay, so it's just here, I guess. What happened?
I just dropped Monty.
Oh. I mean, the stream wasn't lagging, so I don't think it was my internet or anything.
Weird.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost
Yeah,
track.
this audio is fine.
Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can
This is the last part.
monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, He entered the door, and this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never known before. Was it this room? A connection
you and
between the
IKEA.
two? Could a man
Yeah, it is me
love
and
a
IKEA.
room? I mean, truly, truly, deeply, madly.
He is
Love.
absolutely objective. There's no way he's not objective.
Yes, really, really well. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Is this the liminal space ending?
No, this is the Adventureline landing.
Oh!
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
This is the most non-Euclidean part of the game.
Yeah.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line.
Oh my god,
Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Where's the music?
It'll start soon.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Oh,
You see that?
is there a hidden room there?
No. I think it just glitched.
Why is it so glitchy?
Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Before Fern enters our lives.
Aww.
10 years before Fern enters our lives.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell? Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door
Think that's
that
hinting
leads
to
here.
Hero Cycle?
And that in
I
turn
don't think
means
so.
that our destination
No.
corresponds
I
with
think
that
it just it's
counter-inverted
alluding
reverse door's
him
origin.
just walking
So
in circles
starting
in
from the
general.
right, let us ask,
Oh.
will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Oh yeah, I remember. It's called the
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
I think I have enough material to like write about the game. So
Yeah.
if you want to see a specific ending, let me know. I'll play that specific ending. I'm trying. Where is the one specific button ending?
Yeah.
And the one specific bucket ending. there's a very specific bucket ending that I want to get.
The
one
confusion and the
where's-
chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
How come you can't go back in the new content room? I think you had to play this for a while.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
You might
This
have
was
to
not
get
the
all
correct
the
way to the meeting
traditional
room.
endings.
But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Which ending with the bucket?
Where the narrator goes crazy because he accidentally defines everything to be a bucket.
Oh, that might be in the new content room.
That's what I was thinking.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless... What if the problem is that you actually
Because
don't
it
know
is.
what is a bucket and what
Oh.
isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment. Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket? What? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
And everything's gone.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right, here we go. Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around
The
everywhere.
broom closet is a
The
friend.
bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and... Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
I still can't believe the narrator just fucking fronted me that night. I never even pulled the narrator and he fronted at me. That was weird. Oh. I have never actually seen this particular rearrangement before.
Ooh.
Huh.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
I'll do one more ending.
Stanley clutched the bucket
Which
tightly
ending
to
do you
his
want me to
chest
do with the
and
bucket?
entered the door on his left.
I can do the OS ending where he just like fucking dates the bucket.
Oh, he does?
This
Yeah, you
was
forgot
not
about
the
that
correct way
ending?
to the meeting room.
The literal
But Stanley had
objective
felt
ending.
the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee
I
lounge
remember
was
when he
simply
dies
the
with
place
the
to
bucket.
be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this no? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket. This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him. The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Hey, Bucket.
Bucket's a good boy.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else. You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is this awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal. It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
That bucket's pretty shiny. It's a pretty shiny bucket. I mean, compared to all of the other buckets in my house, my bucket's the shiniest bucket that we have. It's a pretty shiny bucket. I mean, I can see the reflection of my jacket on it. It's a very shiny bucket. I would say it's just a little bit better at carrying liquids from one location to another.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
This is just OS in a nutshell.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
It's when the non-believers are converted.
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm having feelings. For the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket?
Oh,
Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
The romantic candles.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it, or I'll...
Okay. I think that's all I'm going to record for now.
Okay.